record on. There you go. So it's recording now. I'm just going to click because there's a box apparently where it makes sure that I can record both tracks, you and me separately.
Okay.
Where is it? Here we go. Recording. Record a separate audio file for each participant. Right, that should be sorted now. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. So how you been?
I'm not too bad, man. I'm just my campaign. I've lost about 50 pounds.
Wow.
Eating my edibles, having my cannabis infused beverages. I'm just chilling the fuck. I'm having a good time,
That sounds
Trying
brilliant.
to enjoy every day, as much as possible, right?
Yeah, brilliant. So have you been going to the gym or?
I go to the gym. I mainly started to really eat better, and I had a back surgery. Once I had the back surgery, it freed me up to move around. I couldn't move too good, so I started walking, and it just took root. I'm like 5, 6 months into it. Like feels like there's no turning back now, and feeling good
Yeah.
about it, man. Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah, well done.
yeah. Cool.
So I was going to start with you in general. When you start your acting in general, how did you get into it? 'Cause I know
Okay.
you've told me you're from Boston, aren't you, originally?
Yes. Yeah.
So how did it all come about? Tell me about your life, really. That's what I want to know.
Okay. You ready to start right up? I'll just go with it. All right. I grew up in a little town right outside of Boston, Somerville, Massachusetts. Born in Boston. And I started before I started acting, I grew up in the town of Somerville, which was very riddled with crime. Whitey Bulger, who you know about, had his headquarters there, the Winter Hill Gang. We hung around right there through high school and older even. And it was pretty heavy duty. It was very wild, very inner city, killings, violence, all that stuff was right under our nose. We grew up in it. The Boston Mafia was in its heyday. So that's kind of how I grew up. Then when I went to college in Boston, I took a free elective acting at 26 years old. I was late to get out of college because I wasn't that into it. I was quitting and going back. I took the free elective of acting and I loved it, and I took little baby steps because in Boston at that time there wasn't much happening. Little stuff. I did a little theater, did like a corporate video, an occasional movie might come through town. Got a little piece here, a little piece there. Then I went off to New York, where you get serious about acting. And I got some early bites. I got Law and Order. I got some other stuff. So it kept me in business. And then I was in business.
Right. Okay. So the
Yeah.
Whitey Bulger thing, that's crazy.
Yeah. He there was a guy, Howie Winter, who you can read about too. He was the real head of the Winter Hill Gang. And he kept going to prison. But little did he know that Whitey was an informant for the FBI. So he kept finding himself in the jackpot. He'd go off to prison, Whitey's staying out of prison, and he becomes the head of this Winter Hill Gang, all the while being an FBI informant. It was insane. It's just crazy.
Yeah, wasn't his justification for it that he was informing on the Italians?
Yes, the FBI was so gung-ho to get the Italians. Like it was a wave throughout the country at that time to get the mob, right? They thought he apparently was the lesser of two evils, is the only way I can think about it, because he was like a serial killer, really. And they were just consumed with getting the Italian mob, which they did get.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
was the have you seen Black Mass, the Johnny Depp movie?
I have seen it, yes.
Was it in your opinion accurate or?
Yeah, I think it was pretty accurate. I don't know all the ins and outs. Some of the casting, you go, whatever. It's a movie, right? So, I know from people who knew him, he was a sort of weird guy, So the Johnny Depp portrayal, I kind of bought that. I think that was pretty accurate. I thought the whole vibe of it was pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I always take sort of those crime films with a pinch of salt, just like The Irishman. There's so many different people's like what I was there. This didn't happen. This didn't happen that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all from somebody's recollection, and they portray that to you, and so you go, all right, that must be it. But you try to read and talk to people and see different things and put it together for yourself what the guy was really like, or what they
Yeah.
were really like, you know?
Yeah, it's like the Cray brothers from here. Like, you know,
Yeah,
you hear
yeah,
like I've seen videos recently just on Instagram flicking like algorithms. It's all like true crime for me, a lot of it.
right.
And yeah, there's just ex gangsters who are in their 80s now, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, I knew him. He did this, he did that," and you're thinking, "Oh shit,"
Right.
you know, stuff you didn't
It's
know.
unreal. Yes. And yeah, I'm sure you've noticed all these ex-gangsters like Michael Franzese and all these guys, they've turned it into a business with these podcasts, you know, and
Yeah,
they're doing pretty well, some of them. Yeah.
yeah, and Sammy the Bull as well.
Sammy the Bull, quite the storyteller, right? Who knew? The guy's
Yeah,
pretty good, right?
yeah. I think I maxed out his podcast in a couple of
Yeah.
days. I was just, you
Yeah.
know, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, you know.
I tell you, the guy could talk, man. He could tell a story, right?
Yeah, and it's weird. Again, you'd even though I think he seems quite sincere, and he you know, but is he exaggerating stuff, or is he, you know, you never know with these guys. It's strange.
Right. Now that he's in the clear, right, with the law and so forth, I guess he can say anything. I mean, you can't cop to murder, you know. They can always get you on a murder, right?
Mm.
So he was a criminal. I don't know. He knows enough to embellish too
Yeah,
for
yeah,
showbiz, for the showbiz portion of it.
yeah.
You
Wow,
know,
strange. So so you went to college and did what? What was it?
I took I didn't even start acting until I was 26 years old. I was taking criminology. And
Right.
not that I loved it. I was sort of interested in it. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Nothing really excited me all that much. I said,
Yeah.
I'll take criminology. You know what I mean? I didn't
I
really
know.
give I didn't really
Yeah.
care about it. It was a little bit interesting, but overall, So during that time is when I took the acting. And I even had a job in the court system. I thought I'd be like a court officer, you know. The
Mm.
guy stands there in the uniform and kind of maintains order in the court. It was a nice little job. And I took this big detour into acting. And you're a musician, you know, you get that bug to do something like that. I was like
Yeah.
so consumed with it. I had to be an actor. I had to only be an actor. And I was able to do it, to pull it off to whatever level I got to. It's not over, but you know what I mean? I was consumed with it. And I
Right.
traveled around. Yeah.
So yeah, I understand where you're coming from when you say, "Oh, just take criminology, whatever." I remember because just finishing school and they handed out all the college stuff, and without even asking if you wanted to go to college, you know, it was like the done thing. And I was flicking through everything, thinking, no, 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 maybe, no, and I just ticked it off for the sake of it. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
I
so
had
from
zero interest.
yeah, so from criminology and then acting. So, was that another sort of I'll try it, but you weren't massively interested, or were you like, actually, this is for me, you know? So
For the
what
acting, you
was
mean?
yeah, did you find it and love it, or did you just go for it because you thought, give it a go?
Well, it's funny, a little bit of both, because when I went to graduate, you know, the registrar of college, I don't know if they have them there, the guy who oversees your curriculum and see what he goes, you can't graduate because you haven't fulfilled all your requirements. I don't know if you know what I mean? That stuff. I go, what do you mean? I want to get out of here. He goes, you didn't fulfill this requirement. And within that column was stuff like public speaking, voice and articulation, this stuff like that. Acting was in there. I go, you mean to tell me I got to take one of these from this column? Yes. To graduate? Yes. So I took acting.
Right.
But once I started doing it, I loved it. I
Wow.
mean, I was an actor in the game of life, if you will, right? With my friends and the scene I was in Somerville and in Boston and, you know, carrying on. So I knew I had a theatrical sort of side to me or whatever you want to call it, but I never applied it anywhere. So once I started that class, I was like, oh
This is it.
yeah. I felt it. I mean, it sounds corny, but I really did feel it. I was young.
Yeah.
I felt like this, I'm meant to do this kind of thing.
Ha,
You know?
yeah, that's fascinating. Well,
Yeah.
it's a good thing you did that.
Yeah. Sometimes I look back, you know, I say, well, you know, it's been a lot of ups and downs, you know. The
Yeah,
career
yeah.
could have been a little better overall. So I
Mm.
would have done some things differently. I probably would have invested in real estate along the way.
Yeah, yeah. So
Right.
yeah, so like with with the acting thing, tell me about sort of, I don't know, the first did you do maybe uh like big performances in like school gyms or like college, you know, for that's how you
Yeah.
started out? If it, do you remember your
Yes.
first ever sort of public one?
Um, my first public thing was a Streetcar Named Desire, a
Oh,
classic
right.
play. Marlon Brando played it. It was so raw. It was community theater, you know,
Mm.
one of these places we rehearse for 2 or 3 weeks and you only do like 3 performances and it's over. That was kind of one of my first things I did. In Boston at the time, there was corporate videos, a video you would make for a company, like a training film.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of work in that. And then my first kind of TV thing, you know, it was Spencer for Hire. It was a 70 or 80s crime detective thing that shot in Boston. Everybody in Boston got themselves a little something on that show. If you
Mm.
lived here, you got on Spencer. And that was kind of my first, you know, real TV thing, you know,
Wow. That's
Spencer.
pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So like is it more mainly a Boston thing, or is it everyone in America would know what Spencer is, or is it just like a
No, they would know. I mean, it was the star of the show was Robert Urich at the time. He was a pretty big actor at that time. He has since passed away several years ago. But it was a famous private eye book series. It was like 20 books. So they made this TV show about him. And it was
right?
pretty good, but it ran out of steam after 3 seasons.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what were you in that, or was it different things in different episodes?
No, I at one time I played one of the Almeida brothers, just two thugs in town. My brother was Ed O'Neill. You know Ed O'Neill
No.
from Married with Children. He was a famous actor from Married with
Oh.
Children here.
Okay. Yeah.
Modern Family. He's the dad on Modern Family. I don't know if you see that stuff. But he's done quite well for himself. Him and I got to be brothers on that show, which was great because I got to be friends with him for about 30 years from that.
Wow.
And that was a fun role. I worked for the whole episode on that one. Two other times I had like a day player, like one line, yes, sir, Mr. Camaras, and open the door. And you
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
oh, wow, I spoke on camera. Ooh, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So with so like money wise, you know, obviously I think am I right in thinking, you know, if you get that one line, say, you get more money for it?
You do, yeah, because that would be like a speaking day player.
Mm.
Extras was an extra. You're in the background
Yeah.
or extra, whatever you want to call them. They're over there somewhere. You know, I've done that, did a lot of that in the early days. But yeah, you get more money and you get residuals. And you
Right.
still to this day get residuals. Now they get lesser and lesser as the time goes on. Like when a show is recently off the air, the residuals are strong. But as time goes by, they fade out, but they're still there. There's something
Yeah.
coming in, you know?
Wow. So do you get like bits of loads of different things coming in that do you forget about them?
Yeah, you do because you know what they used to do is they used to send them all in the mail, regular mail. You get this big stack from the Screen Actors Guild. They rip all these envelopes open, and some of the checks would be $1, some would be
Yeah.
$5. I've gotten checks literally for 1 penny. You go,
Wow.
I don't even understand what the point of this is. And but in that stack, you'd get some big ones too. Some
Yeah.
there's a two, three, $400 one or whatever, even more, or in but whatever, all different denominations. So now they got Smart Screen Actors Guild. Now it's direct deposit, so I can look on an app on my phone and see what I got coming. So I'll go on the app and go, oh, okay, there's $100 coming from here, 50 from here, 20 from here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you kind of know what's happening now. I know exactly what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Not just opening a thing and wondering.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that was like you'd open the envelope going, this better be a good one.
Yeah.
And you rip it open and go, $2? What the hell?
What's the fucking point in that? Yeah.
Right. So they got rid of that whole thing. So that's good. So like I said, I just look on the phone and go, oh, okay. You know?
Yeah. So what reminded me earlier, because I find you as a person, because we've chatted before and I've seen obviously loads of your stuff. I
Yeah.
find you're quite a comedy dude. Because I think you're just a funny person in general because you make me laugh and there's things I've seen that you make me we've sent
Oh,
each other stupid like Instagram reels and we got the
yeah.
same sense of humor and you're funny and
Yeah. Thank you.
I started watching earlier. I'm half an hour into it. The Johnny Slade greatest hits,
Oh, right.
and I didn't. You know
Yes.
what? I didn't actually realize that it was a comedy because I just clicked on it and I wanted to watch you. And
Yeah.
in the first like 8 minutes, I burst out laughing. I thought it was fucking brilliant. It's so funny. And you know what I've done as well, John, is
Oh,
I've got a couple of quotes from it that really made me laugh.
okay.
But were you, how involved were you in that? Did you help write it
Well,
or did you just star in it?
I was a producer and star of it. It was like my vehicle that I created for myself, so to speak. So I had my friend Larry Blameyer, his name. He wrote it and directed it. I had submitted to him this heavy drama, about 10 pages, called The Blue Moods of Johnny Slade, what was really a dark film. He was
Yeah.
like a drug addict, seedy nightclubs, neon,
Yeah.
all that stuff like that, right? That's what I wanted to do. Larry couldn't tap into it. We kind of kicked it around. He goes, "Hey, how about this?" And he came up with that take on it. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. I go, "Beautiful. I like it."
Yeah.
The only mistake, well, there was a few mistakes. The main mistake was I got people to invest in my movie at that time pretty easily because I was a new kid on The Sopranos around town, making a movie, like a lot of people to invest in it. What I really should have done, and it's not a bad movie, but I really wish I had waited 1 year because the script was there. The planning was, we should have retooled, retweaked a few things and just waited, but that money was burning a hole in my pocket. We got to shoot now. You know what I
Right.
mean? And lo and behold, in early November, never really snows like that. We got 18 inches of snow during that movie, and we
Wow.
shut down for like 5 months. So like, what are we gonna do?
Oh,
We're 2 weeks
right.
away from. I mean, it was unbelievable. So things like that happened, but it was a lot of fun to make it. I thought I would have made more movies by now, but I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what. So what really made me laugh, especially the funny stupid shoes really made me laugh.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
And
It was
what was
brilliant.
it? The dude outside with the binoculars and the golfers go past him behind and he goes,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
right.
of ending every sentence in like a fucking monkey.
Yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah, that was
And it,
all Larry. Larry's a crazy, zany kind of writer. Great guy,
mm,
written a lot of great stuff. So
yeah,
that was from his sensibilities, all that, all that.
yeah. And as well, from that, because when you watch say you watch a whole series of someone who's
Yeah.
one character and then you watch something that's completely different, it takes, you have to adjust, don't you, to that character.
Right. Yes.
and
Yeah,
and
you
to me
do.
to me to me obviously you're Gigi to me because it's just fantastic, but in this I was thinking, oh, it's Gigi, and then but it didn't take long and I was thinking, it's just Johnny
Right, right.
Slade. And it just the way you were with the owner of the club, the woman, um
Oh, right.
and I've written it down here, John, and it says when you say oh, after my set, I'm gonna, and she's like, no, don't think about doing that, and you say, well, after my set I would turn in early. It's been a very long day, but I'm very fascinated you thought along those lines just now. And you like put your arm around and just go like that and walk off. And it was so good. It was so perfect. And there was another one. Where was it? Where you were talking to the guy that got you the gig, and he's looking at the song, the Stupid Shoes sheet. And you're like, did you know about this? And he goes, hey, I swear on a stack of babies.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know who
It's
that
just,
is? That's Richard Portnow, Uncle Junior's attorney.
I
And
thought that I recognized his voice straight away. I was like, oh,
yes,
yeah, I thought it was.
yes.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously, the beginning is all the main dudes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that one we tacked that on because when we finished the movie, there was a lot of things that it didn't have, and from marketability and festivals, it wasn't really making any impact. So we had the time. I gathered those guys for that intro, and we just tacked that on to give it a little razzle
Ah,
dazzle
oh,
as a gimmick,
afterwards.
if you will. It's a little gimmicky, but we needed something because we were languishing. Nobody was picking up the movie. Yes, we got in some festivals, but that doesn't translate into distribution necessarily. You know what I mean? So we did that. That kind of helped, you know, to move things along. Hey, the
Yeah.
Sopranos are in this. And at that time, oh, let me see. So distributors at that point wanted to see it.
Mm.
Having them take it on was another story. I did get one to take it on, but at least they wanted to see it. Even Harvey Weinstein, the notorious Harvey Weinstein himself, saw that movie.
Holy shit.
I saw him in Beverly Hills, believe it or not, outside of a nightclub, the restaurant, whatever, right? And I go to my friend, there's Harvey Weinstein over there. This is before all his legal troubles and all his problems. We knew him as a big player, right? He goes, go up to him. I go, I can't. So my friend went up to him, and then he kind of sauntered over. I told him about the movie. He goes, bring it by my office at Miramax on Sunset Boulevard tomorrow. And I did, in an envelope, the whole presentation, you know, the pamphlet. And they gave it a nice look, but they passed on it. But they sent me a nice, long, detailed thing and made it seem like they really looked at it for what it's worth, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But the movie's, you know, it's been kicking around. Some people like it. It's out there.
Yeah, I can't see why they don't. It is just, and I think just you, obviously, I'm concentrating on you, obviously, but just I was really analyzing like just your character, and you were Johnny Slade. It was just so, it was very fluid. You know, I really, really liked it, and because it wasn't
Oh,
just like,
thank you.
oh, yeah, it wasn't just, oh, it's Gigi trying to do this. You know, I'm genuinely, yeah. And even just the
Right.
other, like the attorney guy, and I obviously Sopranos again, but there was bits, especially Frank as well, being
Frank.
the mean guy, and obviously he's the opposite in Sopranos completely, isn't he? So him
Yes.
just going, yeah, you can go straight through, and he was like, oh shit, he seems like a mean motherfucker, you know.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah, exactly. He could.
yeah,
I
I
like
liked it,
to
and
these roles, right? I look at them like for us guys like us, you know, it's just a different side of us. We're not really going into metamorphosizing like Daniel Day-Lewis in some role that's so extreme
yeah,
that it's
yeah,
not. It's basically us, a little bit this way, a little bit that way, but the core is me or Frank or whoever, and you just ratchet it up that way or this way for comedy, a little heavy for this. And it seems pretty seamless, you know. It's part of your
yeah.
whole psyche, your whole being.
Yeah, yeah, and as I said earlier, I'm only half an hour into it, so I've got a bit more to go. So
Okay.
I'm gonna
There's
watch it straight after.
more chuckles to be had tonight.
Well, yeah, what was it you said to her as well? Save it for the children of Africa or something. Save it for the children. I bring joy, not food.
That's right. Boy, you
Yeah.
know something? I used to talk about either doing a remake of that. I almost wanted to do a remake,
Mm.
you know, because with the age thing, the desperation of it all, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
did a thing called Leo Las Vegas. You can see it on my YouTube. And I was hired right after this to play, believe it or not, a lounge singer.
Yeah.
So, and it was completely different, totally dark. Look me up on YouTube with that. It's a short film made by NYU in New York, thesis
Yeah.
grad student film. Very well made,
Mm.
heavy drama. And I was a lounge singer in that too. So it's almost like in the same time frame, I was two different lounge singers,
Yeah.
one goofy and one very grim.
Yeah, that must be strange as well, going from that drastic lounge, like especially playing like a lounge singer, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
And I, you
Um,
know, I wasn't a natural singer for that. Like, obviously, we lip sync for the performance. I recorded it in the studio, multiple takes, stitching stuff together, and then when we filmed it, we would just play it, and I would try to lip sync to it the best that I could. You know?
yeah. What was it? Did you have to do a few takes for Funny Stupid Shoes? Because did you laugh? Were you laughing?
You know, it's funny. At that point, we didn't even laugh at it anymore because we had been used to it for so long. I
Yeah,
listened to
yeah, I
those
suppose.
songs forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Larry even wrote the songs, and he's not a musician, but he sang them out. He would send me cassette tape back in the day, right? And he would sing the songs on the cassette tape, so I would know kind of how they go. And then the musicians who you saw in that movie, they were real company. I gave it to them. I was
right.
friends with them, and they whipped up the tunes and the arrangements and played everything.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Great. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when was that film then?
When? I want to say 2003, four, like that, maybe around there.
Really? Oh wow. I suppose yeah,
Somewhere in
that's deep into the Sopranos era, wasn't it?
my daughter. Quiet over there. So she's sitting there. She just
It's all
screeched,
right.
my daughter.
It adds to the ambiance. Don't worry.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I've got. I live on a main road, and there's just because it's the main road to the hospital, so I get
Oh,
sirens a lot. Yeah,
oh, really? Yeah.
yeah. That's
Well,
the only
that's good
problem
if
here, but
you're ever in a medical crisis, at least you're next to the hospital.
that's true. Yeah, I can just jump out in the road. There'll be an ambulance anytime soon.
Because where I am now, that's one of the things I say to my wife. We're miles away from hospitals. We're in New
Right.
Hampshire now. But when I lived in Boston, Somerville, all through there, a hospital on every corner. I go, good, good, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, tell me, how long have you been with your wife?
Let me see, probably 10, 15 years ish.
Yeah,
Because
and I know
we
you've
only been married for 2 years, year and a
right.
half.
Yeah,
But we're together longer, I don't keep track anymore.
and I know you've got a son. I think he's my age because we've spoken before, and he's a musician, isn't he?
He, he is, yes. He's quite the musician. He loves that guitar, man. His band's doing pretty good. They hustle. He teaches a little bit of guitar. He plays. Yeah, he stays busy with it. He loves it.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I've listened to some bits. It's good, and he is
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
yeah. He's a great guitar player, I can tell you.
Yeah, they mix it up. They do all kind of different, whatever, a little surf, fusion, this, that, whatever, right? So they mix it up.
Nice, nice. So moving on from the early stuff, acting stuff, from was it called the detective show?
Spencer
Spencer, that's the one. Yeah. So what happened from there? Then you were doing like company training videos and stuff, and then how did it go from
did some of
progress like the
those.
stepping stones?
Yeah, so I did what I was able to do in Boston. I did all of it. I continued to do all of it, but I ventured to New York to try to get my feet wet in that market. And I got a couple little day players on soap operas at the time, and I was able to get an agent pretty quickly, which is a must. You needed an agent, and that agent got me an audition for Law and Order. That show that's been on forever
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And I got on there like right away, and I stayed on it for 10 years in a
Wow, I didn't know that.
recurring, yeah, a recurring role.
Yeah,
Though I wasn't making huge money, it was good money. And it kept
yeah.
me in business because I would do 10, 12, 15 episodes a year. One year, maybe I did 6. One year, I do 14, whatever, right? But back in those days, there was a legitimate network rerun on TV. So when they replayed your episode, you would get the full pay again. So it's like you
Oh,
did, and you go, wow, and checks were coming in the mail. And then you do another episode. You've been paid for that when you shot it. But 3, 4 weeks later, that one's on again. You got another check. Now it's a little different with the streaming and the way they calculate residuals. So that kind of kept me in business. It was like a cycle of money, and I was still able to do other things too, other acting
yeah.
things, because I wasn't locked down on that show. I was working a day here, 2 days here, what I mean, like that. So I still did other stuff.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, because Law and Order. Well, I've seen that loads of times. It's always there's repeats on reruns
Oh
here
yeah.
a lot. Yeah, it's always on Channel 5, I think. So, what?
Yeah.
How does it work with different companies, countries? So, if you were played every week here, your role, what would happen with residuals for you then?
You get a separate check for that. That's called foreign royalties. Those are always notoriously low.
Right.
So you'll get this state. That one comes in the mail like the old-fashioned way. For whatever reason, they don't put that on the app thing. You get a piece of paper with all listings of where it's been, and it's short money. And then there's a tally. The checks are 20, 30, $50. They're
Right.
never big. They're
Okay.
very inconsistent. You maybe get 2 of those a year.
Hmm.
How they tally it, how they keep track of this stuff, God knows. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
So getting to after the Spencer stuff. So you did so when you did the Law and Order, so stepping stones getting to say Sopranos, but in between was there anything, or was it straight to there, or?
Yeah, no, in between there was some New York cop shows, New York Undercover, there was some movies, doing my thing, staying in the game. Got written out of Law and Order in 99, maybe, after 10 years or so. And I still worked. And then about a year and a half after that, Sopranos came. The first
Wow.
season of Sopranos had aired. I didn't audition for it. I came to it late. People were talking about it even then. Like, and I caught up with it later on VHS cassette in James Gandolfini's very apartment. I can tell you that story.
Wow.
So by the end of me catching up with it, I'm going, I got to get on that show. Oh my God, this show's unbelievable. I got to get on here. But I had no real power. I had an agent, and you could say to an agent, hey, can you get me in? Whatever. But they did get me in. I never said that to them, but I got an audition for it. And I ended up getting it. So it was a great thing. I remember I wore leopard shoes, like rockabilly rock band shoes, right? Leopard, I still have them. I call them show business shoes. Leopard tops, very cool. There's a character, Gigi, they said was a flamboyant something, Elvis-y, whatever, right? Something, I don't know, whatever. I said, let me wear these shoes. I don't wear them anywhere else in my life, So I went there. This was a callback. So you've made it to the next round. Callback. And I walked into the room, and lo and behold, right in front of me is David Chase and 10 other people, a legitimate mini audience. You go,
oh,
oh yeah, like, oh my God. Like sometimes there's one person, sometimes there's two. Not like that. I've never seen that. Like all looking. So I remember I broke the ice. I walked in there. I said, right off the bat, I went, you're going to see a lot of good actors today. Nobody's out acting these shoes. And I pointed to the shoes. Big chuckles.
Nice. Oh.
I felt I had them. You know what I mean? I felt, because the lines were little. The lines were in throwaway. They gave me 2 lines to do. They weren't even together. They were one from page 7 on the script, and then the other line was like, page 30. Yeah. Sounds stupid, right? So all that other stuff got me the gig, not doing the lines. The way I looked the part. I had the shoes. I had the quippy little joke. They liked it. Somebody yelled from the back, I like the socks too. I go, yeah, the socks. I had cool socks on too. I went, yeah, the socks are pretty cool too. Yeah. And I knew it. I said, I think they're going to pick me for this. Just a feeling.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Wow.
So that was great.
Do you feel that you are quite a confident guy in those situations then? Because it sounds like you are.
Something, I've had my ups and downs with that, kind of, if you will, stage fright, nerves, anxiety. Sometimes I'm super confident and sometimes I'm not. And I don't even know the rhyme or reason to it. You got to tell yourself when you feel that anxiety, go, whoa, you've done this 100 times. What are you nervous about? And sometimes you're just off. I don't know what it is. Feel a little anxious. Sometimes you can harness it and use it. And a couple of times, it may be at an audition, it'll get the best of you, and you don't do your best audition under those conditions, if you're not relaxed like that.
It sounds like, it sounds like you were in the right sort of mind frame when you went into the Sopranos then. Yeah.
Yeah, thank God for that one. I was right in the zone for that. Headwise, walking in, I was like, when they showed me all those people, I can't remember distinctly. I probably felt nervousness, but I knew I was going to hit them with that line. I knew I was going to try to use that line somewhere. I didn't know that I'd have an audience like that. And it came to me to use it. And it came in handy, Yeah,
that sounds perfect.
Right. Because nowadays, a lot of times they're doing auditions like this. You tape it yourself. There's not even this back and forth like we're having. You tape it yourself against this wall or whatever, and you send it in, but you're not winning the room. You're not talking to the people. They don't see you in person. You go, hi, I'm John Fiore. I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. And you do the scene and there's no banter. That's where you used to get the jobs with all that in
Yeah.
between stuff. You know, when you personalize the whole thing, that really helps a lot. So
Yeah, I can
now you don't get
understand.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I find that a bit stupid, really, because if you're actually auditioning people for a role, they need to physically be there. That just sounds like common sense to me.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, these Zoom things, not the Zoom, the self tapes, they call it. I've sent in many self tape auditions, many. And the thing about a self tape, the good thing about it is you can do it from your house. You don't have to schlep to the place, right? That part's easy. And you could do 100 takes until you're satisfied, you know, so you know it's good. When you go in live in the room, sometimes you leave there going, oh, I wish they let me do it again.
Right, that
Oh,
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody does that. Going, oh man, I should have. But they go, okay, thank you, goodbye, and you want, but they say bye. So with the self tape, you know what you're sending in is good because you like me. I'll do 50 takes. I'll do it until I love it, and I
Yeah.
send them in, and I never, ever get anything from it, ever, ever.
Wow.
And other people have said the same thing to me. They go, I don't understand. So sometimes I don't even do them now. I go, I'm done, man.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
doesn't make sense. Like you said, you can do it to the point where you're happy with it and you're not nervous,
Yeah,
etc. So yeah, on the flip side, that's better. Yeah. So why wouldn't
yeah.
you get anything back? Hmm.
Because you say to yourself, I'm very honest about when I see myself. I know when I'm good. I know when I'm bad. I know when I'm in between. When I do these self tapes and send them off, I go, that was pretty good. Yeah, I did enough of them. I should know, right? I go, that's a good take. I'm going to send that. They have to like that. They have to. Not then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So so officially, how long have you been acting officially? Do you know, like roughly?
I'd say 40, 45 years, if you can believe it.
Wow, you don't look a day
Ah.
over 42.
Well, I'm getting up there, Tom. I'm getting up there. I'm old enough to be your pappy, son.
So, right, we're getting to the step of Sopranos. Well, we're just about there. So, yeah, that's fascinating. The interview, the audition process, because
Yeah.
that must have been horrific. Just you telling me getting
Oh,
into that room, especially David Chase being there as well. Was he there
oh yeah.
for everyone, or was he
Yeah, yeah, he
very
was.
particular?
Yeah, I mean, at that time he wasn't, his reputation, if you will, and his aura, the David Chase we've come to know and read about, and respect, like he's God. That wasn't quite happening then. Yes, he was the guy. Any executive producer, creator of his show gets that reverential treatment. But at that point in time, the show was still in its infancy. So I wasn't like freaked out with him. You know what I mean? It was nice and
Ah,
chill and just proper
I understand.
atmosphere, you know?
Yeah. So I
Um,
suppose maybe if you'd have joined as Gigi a couple of seasons later, it would have been different then.
yeah, by that time, we would have read 100 magazine articles about David Chase, seen profiles of him on TV, going, oh my God, I'm meeting David Chase.
Yeah.
David Chase, David Chase, right? But I
Wow.
didn't have that then because he wasn't, that figure at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like good timing, really.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. The only bummer was getting written off the goddamn show.
You know what? Before I even started talking to you, I
Yeah.
was just getting used to, you and actually getting to know who you are a little bit as a character and really enjoying you, because
Oh man,
especially that asshole fucking Ralphie. So
Ralph,
I was expecting something between you two as a particular thing, and then that you happened, and I was like, oh
stop.
fuck,
I'm
oh,
on the phone. Listen, hold on one second. Do you
it's all
edit
right.
this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Listen, this is a work thing. You got to be quiet. Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought me and Ralph would go head to head a little more. I think they took the easy way out. I mean, they did tell me, hey, we kept you around longer than we planned. Who really knows? They try to like say, listen, I know it's traumatic and this and that, but we like you. We kept you around longer than we thought we would because we only had you down for like 4 episodes in the story or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that really at that
How
time.
how did they drop it on? Did they just drop it on you, or was it like leading up to it? Or
Yeah, no, because you'd see him. I'd see him anytime I go there. And about 2 weeks before he let me know, I saw him in the hallway at the studio, and he stopped to say to me, "I loved everything you're doing on the show." And then he walked away. I was like a little kid who got patted on the head in school. I'm like, he likes me, that kind of thing. And I felt good. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a call at home on the old answering machine, pre-cell phone. Leave a message at a home recorder. And he left a message at 9 in the morning on a Friday. So I called him back. He wasn't there, of course. And then 5 p.m. on Friday, he called me back. I go, hello. He goes, David Chase. I go, hey. He goes, this is a call I hate to make. I knew what that meant right away.
oh,
I was like, huh? Yeah. And then he proceeded to tell me. And I go, oh my God, no, please. Oh my God. It was completely blew my mind, right? When? Next show, which meant like 3 weeks from that point, pretty much.
oh
And I
no.
had days to work still. I had a bunch of days still to film. And I go, how? And he told me how. I went, what? Come on. I go, don't do that. I go, ah. And I remember sort of pleading with him. I didn't like going, first of all. I didn't like going that way. And by the end of it, he went, hey, pretty much, as I remember it. He kind of stiffened up a little bit. He goes, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Got a little firm or something. I went, all right. Okay, see you later. And then,
Wow.
like I said, I had multiple days still to shoot before the finale.
So
So,
it was
yeah.
yeah. So how did you feel then leading up to it? Filming, because obviously you
Well,
knew what was going to happen.
yeah, I mean, it was a weird feeling because you're so bonded with everybody, you're getting along with everybody, you're there. In the back of your mind, it's like, in a couple of 2, 3 weeks, you're out of there.
Hmm.
But when I was doing it, it seemed so far away, like 3 weeks in the future or whatever. I go, oh, I found myself not thinking about it, then thinking about it. But as it got closer, of course, you're being like executed. This is it. Like
Yeah.
the countdown has begun. And this tomorrow will be my last day on The Sopranos. When it finally hits you, but it
Oh.
wasn't. I came back in a stupid dream sequence for one little clip in season 4.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah. Wow.
That
Did
was
you
an
do you?
easy payday,
Yeah. Was that just short and
right?
sweet? Was it in and out?
In and out, sat in the back of a car with Richie Aprile. And
Oh.
Tony turns around, and there we are for 1 second. Boom, that was it.
Is that the bit where Ralphie's bald?
Yeah,
And
right.
he's got like, hasn't he got like a centipede on his head or something?
Yes, yes, yeah,
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 a really
yeah.
strange dream sequence.
So
Yeah,
that was an easy payday.
yeah, I bet. Yeah. Do you remember a while ago, which I've still got in mind, John, that I want to do, is to have you have you sign a toilet seat for me?
Absolutely. I mean, I've done those. Yes,
Wow. I'm
I've
gonna
done
hang it.
some of them.
I'm gonna hang it above my toilet.
There's a few of them out there. It's funny, when I left that show the day my final day, the cast and crew, all, "Oh, we want that John Fiore." They do that when a person leaves the show, and they presented me with a signed toilet seat by everybody. When I say
Whoa.
everybody, everybody. So here's what happened. I don't have it anymore. If I did have it, it'd be worth a lot of money, but a guy I met who did a Soprano documentary. I don't know if you've seen it on Amazon Prime. It's called Sopranos Behind the Scenes. I was the narrator.
Yeah, I've
This
seen it.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah. So my role as a narrator got diminished as the seasons went on. So I was the narrator. He did that after the first 3 years of that show. So there's a lot of me, but then he pulled it and he added seasons 4, 5, and 6 into The Sopranos. And he didn't need the narrator as much. So he had real people being like Phil Leotardo, this one, that one. They took up the time. Anyway, that guy hired me to do that job. And it turned out to be like a 6-month job for me. And he paid me crazy money. He was super generous, eccentric kind of guy. paid me well. I was so moved by it. I said, what can I do in return for this guy? I gave him the toilet seat. He was deeply touched
Oh,
in that moment. I said, he's given me so much money out of nowhere, cash money, under the table. I said, I'll never get this much for this toilet seat down the road or whatever. So I just did it. But now I want it back. I think he's dead too.
oh shit! Really?
I've never seen it on online. No pictures of it. Not on
Oh my,
eBay. I've never seen it anywhere.
that's
I don't know what
oh
happened
my
to it.
god, that's
Everybody
amazing. And
signed it. The top, the lid, the inside, the part you sit on. It was signatures everywhere.
oh my god,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I wish I had it.
that's amazing in like for that, but amazing in the shittest way that you haven't got it anymore. Oh
That's what they gave me
wow.
to out the door, a signed toilet seat, and they sent me on my way.
That's
Right?
brilliant. I can so like I would imagine, say that guy who had the toilet seat from you, he's probably died and it's been left to like maybe his grandkid that doesn't have a clue what Sopranos
Ah,
is.
yeah. I
Fingers
mean,
crossed it's not disappeared. Mm,
right. I keep hoping that the wife would call me someday,
yeah.
and say, listen, we found the toilet seat. What are we going to do with it? You should have it, whatever. But I've heard nothing.
Did you see that their Holstons are selling the booth?
Yeah, I saw that. They sold it for
Did,
82 or $87,000.
I didn't know that. I knew a few
Yeah.
about less than a week ago it was like up to 70,000 or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine.
That's a hardcore fan right there.
That is. I mean, I wish I had that money for something. Certainly not a booth, right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. When you told me about this is last time because I remember we talked during lockdown. Do you remember?
Yes.
And I think I recall you telling me about James Gandolfini letting you stay in his apartment because you were commuting and it was saving you traveling.
Yes. So one night we would shoot when you're a young actor in New York. Um, I used to keep sublet apartments. I would stay at friends' houses. I would stay at hotels, whatever, wherever. Sometimes I didn't even think about it. Like the gig would end 1, 2 in the morning. I go, where am I staying tonight? I don't know, and figure it
Mm.
out on the fly. So one time he heard me at the studio talking on the phone or whatever or something. That I didn't have a place to stay that night. He overheard me, came over to me. I just really met him, the week before or whatever. He goes, hey, you don't have a place to stay. You can stay at my place. Oh, no. He goes, no, I have two places. I'll be at my house and you can stay at my apartment downtown in Greenwich Village, New York. I go, are you sure? I go, that'd be great. I mean, you don't mind? Gave me the keys. I stayed there, probably ended up staying there 9 days in total, two different times. And he was great. He didn't have to do that. I stayed there. That's where I caught up on the first season of The Sopranos because he had all the VHS tapes. And I'd be there. I'd have some off days. I would work like Monday, not work until Thursday. So he let me use the place. I just stayed there. I didn't go back to Boston. I just stayed. I remember it was rainy. I'd get Chinese takeout, bring it in. I'd put these tapes on, and I'd put one tape after the other, sitting there like this, right? It was great. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just so strange hearing these little bits that people don't normally hear because you watch it and just go, it is what it is, and that's it. But you're real people.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
yeah. No,
and like you said
he
about it,
worked hard.
when you said and when you said because obviously you didn't give a shit about like trying like finding if you had to be there and you didn't have a place to stay, you still go, wouldn't you? So
Oh yeah,
because you could,
absolutely. Yeah,
so
because sometimes when the time to plan something, I would always make sure I had a place to stay. But if a show called you the last minute, like say I'm sitting here now, we need you tomorrow in New York. You go, well, I'm gonna go there and I'll worry about staying when I'm there.
yeah,
Sometimes I say if you're filming next Tuesday, say, I can make arrangements to stay somewhere. But
yeah,
on the fly, I would just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because as you know, actors just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. You say yes to everything.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When you're young, when you're young.
So as
Not so
well,
much.
so I reckon you probably had like more. Maybe did you have more fun Because it's, say you didn't know roughly where you were going, and then you'd have some like different experiences rather than just hotel, hotel, hotel.
Yeah, it was a little bit fun. I mean, because I was all over. Sometimes I sit back and think of all the people's apartments I used to stay at, and the list is big. And I think of all the hotels I stayed at, and all this and all that, and you forget sometimes that you put in so many years down there. You know what the YMCA is? You have the YMCA over there.
No, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they have rooms there, cheap rooms. I stayed at YMCA's in New York, like two or three different ones. They're all over the city. Honestly, probably the YMCA probably stayed there 150 nights over the span of time.
Are they the
I
YMCA?
mean,
Is it just like the, are they hostels or are they just cheap hotels?
yeah, like a hostel. They had a gym downstairs, little rooms. They were cheap rooms at the time.
Yeah.
They weren't bad. They served their purpose. It was like a austere, almost like a prison cell with a cot and bad lighting, like this, like bad television. You'd lay there like I used to chain smoke in bed. And that was what
Wow.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it is similar to, like, if you're in a band, up and coming band, you do what it takes, don't you? Really?
Right, exactly. You do whatever you got to do. It's the same thing.
Yeah, same as the big stars. They stayed on people's floors and they stayed in their
Yeah,
van.
yeah.
Yeah,
You figure that part out later, you
yeah,
just do
yeah.
the
Exactly.
gig. They want you, I'll be there.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Getting to the first day. Do you recall much of the first day, the shooting?
The first day. Mm, sometimes I don't know if it's the day I shot Patsy Parisi. I think my first day when I was in the back room of the Bada Bing, when Silvio does his Al Pacino impersonation, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting there in the pool with the pool stick and a cigarette. I think that was my first day. Yes, that was my first day.
yeah,
And it was so like because he must have had something in store for me. But there I was suddenly there, sitting there with four guys and me in the back room, making a couple of cracks here and there.
yeah.
I go,
Because
well, this, you know,
wasn't your, because when excuse me, when you first appeared, because it was similar to Ralphie and Mikey Parmise. So like, where did they come from? But I think they do slip in the little bits, because you were your character. Didn't they just bump you up, or did they just, you were in a different crew?
yeah, I was in a different crew. Originally, I was with Uncle Junior. I mean, I don't even know the whole story. You go, huh? What? I guess. All right. I came over from Junior's crew. How?
Right.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things I didn't get, but it got to the point where you realize there is going to be a legitimate thing behind it, but you don't really need to know. They're there for a reason. It's not just a stupid random,
Yeah,
But
right.
I do remember distinctly the Patsy Parisi scene, and it's just in the car, because it was all talking about rumors, wasn't it, about Tony? And I think you said something like, "Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't be saying these things." Like, and I was thinking,
Maybe you shouldn't spread that rumor.
that's the one, yeah. And then obviously when it happened at the end, I was like, "Shit!"
Right.
Yeah, and was it say,
Yeah,
"No, here you go, you big mouth fuck."
right. And the interesting thing
Amazing.
about that was there was no sound effects. There was only a feeble little click of the gun. There was no boom sound. It was very quiet. And people thought it's good that they think this. They think I made that up. I shot it was loud. I went, fuck. But David Chase was so thorough that was written into the script. Gigi shoots the gun. The loudness impacts his ears. And it's written. Gigi, fuck.
Ah,
So that
right.
was everything was written in just as you saw it. So when I did it, it was literally like this. There you go, you big motherfucker. Click. I had to just go, oh. So I thought at the time, I go, I hope this sells because you're doing it with silence. You're reacting to your ears being blown out when there's no sound at all.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I go, I hope this, because it felt phony, doesn't seem right. But then when they put the sound effect in, of course, it was perfect.
It was
You know?
absolutely perfect, because I again, I remember when I watched it for the first ever time. Even when I watch it again, I'll watch it a bunch of times. But you can almost hear that noise, like the ringing. You kind of feel it when you do it. I'm going,
Yeah.
because you can imagine it anyway, So I'm going,
Oh,
oh,
yeah. It was a nice touch. And there was Dan Grimaldi, who went on to be Patsy. And then he was all sad, going, "Well, this is my one and only day in the Sopranos. See you later," And
Ah,
look what happened to him. He was resurrected from. He's a great guy. I'm happy for him. But he got resurrected to go on to do like 35, 40 shows as Patsy.
yeah, because it was, what was his name? The twin brother?
Philly.
Yeah, Philly. Yeah, that's the one.
Philly and
Yeah.
Patsy, the two brothers.
Yeah, and there was those awkward moments where when Furio was on board and they were talking about
Yes,
this, Christopher says about the twin telepathy thing. And
that's right,
Tony's
right.
and Tony's
Yeah,
looking at Christopher like, shut the fuck up.
yeah. He's going.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I miss him or whatever. And he's like, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Awkward.
Right. Yeah.
Awkward. And you're there
And
like,
then, yeah, him and I was staring at each other, me and Patsy, making faces, all this kind of stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good day. I remember that scene. I enjoyed that scene.
Did it take many takes?
They don't do many takes. I mean, they do a lot of coverage when there's that many people around the table. They make sure they get everybody like a shot, So, but as far as no, you don't get many takes on something like that. Maybe one or two. They move on to the next person. Put the
Yeah.
camera on him. This one, like that.
Yeah. I suppose it's not a really long, deep scene, is it?
No. When they need to do multiple heavy duty takes, they'll do it if they have to. If they're not getting what they want, they'll do the takes. But something like that where everybody's got one or two lines, it's moving along. They move that along,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The big thing in that scene was Paulie Walnut's shoelace story. Right. So that was a big number for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I suppose you'd trip over your words when you had to start again.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, I have to ask you about him because he's. Well, I think you can even see my. I've just realized now my Zoom photo is Paulie.
Yes. Right.
But yeah, can you tell me about him because he as a person in general, not just his character, he fascinates me.
Oh my God, he was such a one-off guy. I mean, there was little to no difference between Paulie and Tony Sirico, which is a great thing in a way. I mean, he was such a trip. He's a funny dude, man. That's how he was. He was like that for real, and it was funny. One time he goes up to me, a couple of times he said certain things to me. He goes, You're a good actor, John. How come I haven't seen more of you and stuff?" I go, "I don't know. I go to auditions." He goes, "You're doing something wrong then. Next time you go in, tip the fucking table over." I go, "Maybe I'll try that next time." And then another great line he said to me once, he goes, I was in a suit, on the set. He goes, "You're a good looking guy, John." I go, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "But I could see there's a fat guy dying to come out of there." And he was right as time went on. Now, if he could see me now, he would know I lost it. But he said that. It was so funny. Because then maybe I was just showing a little puffy cheek, just a formation of something. He goes, "There's a fat guy dying to come out. Be careful." I'll never forget that line.
Yeah, you can just imagine him. I can just imagine him saying that. It's incredible.
Oh, funny as hell. So
was
funny.
it because I've looked into him a bit, and because wasn't his brother a priest?
Yeah, the brother was a priest. Yeah,
or is a priest. I don't know. Is he still alive?
I think you're right. I think he's still alive. The brother, yeah, he's a priest, and
that's what made it even more of a funny thing because he's just like half a wise guy, whatever he says, and it's
right.
He's
and
just
that generation, yes, and that generation in New York's Irish, Italian guys, a lot of priests back in those days, right?
Yeah. Wow. And because his name's Gennaro, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Tony Sirico's Gennaro. Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool, crazy. Right? Gennaro. I like that.
Yeah. Gennaro Sirico. And Gennaro Anthony Sirico. Yeah.
Yes.
Couldn't get any more Italian.
No.
I've got a friend. His name is Teodoro Pristocchimi, something like that. It's a really Italian name. Yeah. And because he pronounces it in more of an English way, but he said to me, I saw him recently, and he said, "Oh, it's actually pronounced this way, but we just say it because it's easier to say, but it's quite a complicated name." Yeah, he's got a really cool Italian name. Yeah. But I'm guessing yours is Italian then, yeah.
Mine is Italian, but I got such a simplified Italian name. I'm as Italian as the next guy, right? But I'm just John Fiore instead of some flamboyant name. But back in that era, My parents were naming. She named the boys conservatively. My brother Charles, John, and Robert. Very conventional names. Fast forward, everybody was going Luigi, Giancarlo. The modern crew. Everybody I know got names like that now. But back
Yeah.
then in the 50s, they were naming the kids like American names.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should have been Giancarlo Fiore. Would have been a nice ring to it, right?
Yeah. So ancestry wise, so are your parents Italian or grandparents Italian? Where does it come from?
Everybody's Italian from my father's side from Sicily, my mother's side from Naples.
So
Yeah.
your parents are Italian American, and then your grandparents are like from there. Is that?
Yes, yeah. My parents were born here, and the grandparents there.
Wow. So did you know them much as growing up? Your grandparents each side, or?
I knew my mother's parents, my grandparents. They lived upstairs. We had a two-family house, and it was all like really like one house. We roamed freely up and down, but they lived upstairs, so I was extremely close to them. Extremely close. My father's parents didn't really speak English, so when I'd see them, they would visit sporadically. Plus, they didn't speak English, so it was hard to really connect with them.
Yeah.
They were very nice. They were very sweet. They died before the others, and but I didn't really connect with them because they didn't speak English and they weren't there that much. But the
Right.
other
Yeah.
two,
Fair.
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good. What did growing up? Were you interested in other sports or?
Yeah, I played every sport. I didn't really go for organized sports so much because I had problem with authority figures, coaches and stuff. I really did. I had issues,
Yeah.
real and imagined, right?
Were you the same
But I
as
played,
me? Sorry, go on.
yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. We're the same, like that.
I just didn't
So
like school. Did you not like school? Because I fucking
I
hated
didn't
school.
like school. I didn't like school either. I didn't. I just didn't. But we played a lot of sports in the playground, the schoolyard. A lot of leagues, softball, baseball, hockey, football, basketball. I played everything.
Hmm.
Extreme. We played a lot. That's what we did back then. Of course, there was no social media to distract a kid. We
Yeah.
read books. I mean, think about it. We actually read a book. What's a book? I don't even know what a book is anymore. We read books and we played. We played. No looking at stuff, hours, whatever.
Yeah. I've always thought. Well, for a long time, I've thought that my generation, my age, your son's age, was the last generation, unfortunately, to be the ones that actually got on their bike, went out,
That's
knocked
true.
on their friend's door, not knowing that if they were in or not, climbing trees, reading books. We did play games consoles, but we weren't. Especially me and my brother. I've got one brother. We didn't sit in all day every day playing them. We played them at night time, just before going to bed or whatever.
Right.
But we did. We played out until my mum had to come out and scream to get us
Yeah.
back in because it was going dark. Yeah.
That's how it was. I mean, you're right though about the age because my son is about your age, and I look back. He played his games, but it wasn't all consuming.
Yeah.
Like it's become. There was no phone component where everything was down here doing something. It was just a game then, and then there was the outdoor stuff and all the other stuff. So it was a good mix back then. But my young son here, he's all game, all looking down, all phone, all social media.
I
It's too
find it
much.
strange, kids that age. I remember specifically once I was in a queue in a store, and this kid in front of me, I must have been about 20, and this kid was probably, I swear to God, John, probably about 7, and he had this iPhone, and he was going.
Oh yeah.
I was like, like, why the fuck has he got a phone? Who's he talking to apart from maybe his mum? But who's he talking to? Who's he texting? Like,
It's unbelievable. I know. It's weird, isn't it?
very strange, yeah. So I'm glad I was in that generation because I see kids now. You go to my local bar or whatever, and you see every kid in there. They're just in a corner looking down.
It's highly addicting. I mean, I'm addicted myself now to it. I have addictive personality to begin.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
an
gonna
easy
lie.
thing to, right, you
Sorry, yeah,
too.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I find myself scrolling for 2 hours in a row, and I'm thinking, why?
I know. I waste so much time doing it. And then sometimes like, what are you doing? You could have done that, you know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah,
so easy when you're tired and you just kind of looking through stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's too easy, you know.
It's too easy.
Rather than sitting reading a book, you flip through your phone and go, "Ha, that's really funny," because it's shortening people's attention spans, really. You know,
Right. Oh,
especially
absolutely.
kids. You know,
Yes.
they, and that's why what I found from TikTok, putting up true crime stuff that I do at the moment, is if you don't make a video if you make a video longer than say 40 seconds, you don't get as many views because they want to watch it, get all of the information in that short time, and then go, yeah, next one.
Right. Yes. That's why the Be a Man videos, not the ones I'm in with the podcast, but the actual Be a Man guy, my friend, those are like 10 seconds long, and they've made 1,000 of them, and they hit a formula. They tell the whole little miniature story in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
My attention span is shot to hell from the social media. I could barely watch a movie or a TV show anymore. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, oh my God, I can't
Strange,
focus.
isn't it?
I'm like all over the place. I'm going,
Yeah, I get what you mean. I've started reading. I've got loads of books, and
oh, nice.
for every one I read, I'll buy like 6 more. So it's just like they're always piling up. And I've just recently bought the Dexter series books because they're different to the show. So I thought I'd read them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm reading the first one, and I got, I'm halfway through at the moment, but I found myself now for about a week not reading them because I get into bed and go, and I'm like, no, put your phone down and read a fucking book.
I know. I used to do that, man. I used to do it for years. And now I got the blindfold with the speakers built in.
Right,
with.
yeah.
I love those. If I can't find it, I freak out like a little baby. I'm like, where is that? I can't sleep it out. So I put that on and I'm listening to podcasts. I'm up half the night. I'm grabbing my phone, changing the channel, putting on a different podcast, laying there, doing another one. I don't like this. I'm going to change it. It's 2 a.m. now. It's 3 a.m. That's what I do.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'll show you this. Look at this. It's right.
I love it, man.
I'm the same. I get into bed and I'm like, right, lights off. And I'm thinking, where's my mask? I need my mask. And
I can't sleep without it.
Yeah. And what I do is you listen to it with your earphones, but I've got just my phone next to me on like a bedside table, just playing like white noise. I put white noise on.
Right.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I used to do that.
Yeah. Or sometimes I found there's like adult stories, like bedtime stories for adults. So it's just like, it's like John Fiore went to the store and bought some groceries in a really nice voice.
Right.
And start falling asleep.
Yeah. It's supposed to lull you off into sleep, right? With a boring story.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So moving on, I would very much like to know, who would you say is probably one of your favorite characters, like up there, and why really?
That I played, or
yeah, that and Sopranos.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Gigi, obviously. A lot of times it's for the stuff that he didn't get to do. In my mind, when I picture Gigi, like, as I flesh out his life. So even though what I did on the show, and a couple of my scenes were cut out, so even if they had kept my little scenes, I could think of 3 little pieces of Gigi that were cut for whatever reasons.
Tell me.
One was about a Freon deal. We were stealing Freon for the air conditioners in a car and all that kind of stuff. Like hot Freon that people would put in their cars to recharge their air conditioners.
Yeah.
So I had a Freon deal going, and there was a little story with that. They cut that out. I had a couple of little stories about this politician. They told me they cut that out because it was too close to home and they didn't want to get in trouble. Something real. I don't know. But anyway, but Gigi I like because I colored in the rest of his days in many ways of what he was like, even though I only did the number of shows I did. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I definitely think it made an impact because before I even started speaking to you, I was absolutely, oh fuck, he's dead. No, come on.
Yeah,
because I was waiting.
It's interesting. Yeah, and I found too, and it feels nice. I mean, when I get written off the show in real time, I'm sad about it. The people, they're still working on the show. They're busy. They're not going to sit around and go, oh, Gigi's gone. You know what I mean? They're working. The fans are like, Well, that's too bad. Let's watch next week's show, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. But now that the dust has settled and it's all said and done, and it's hanging on the wall like a museum art piece, the whole show, Gigi has gotten much love over the years because
Yeah.
people analyze. Like you're a student of it. People analyze everything. They know every move you made. They know every word you said. So as time went on, and it settled down with the social media, people started writing to me. I talked to you. I met you this way, and some other people. And I said, "Who knew Gigi had so much love out there?"
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad I'm not the only one because it was
No.
I loved him, man. And like we've got to get to the Ginny Sack jokes.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the way you were in the back room of the Bada Bing with your tracksuit on and your cool black hair, and it was just you had the body language, and you were just really like I don't know, like a lovable thug, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because even when you were in the hospital and you said to Ralphie and you were just saying stuff to him, it's like you can see that you're a nice guy, but he would kick the living shit out of you if you went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I was thinking like Gigi's a nice guy, but I would love to see him do that because Ralphie was a horrible bastard, but you
Yeah. He
weren't.
was.
You were a nice guy, but you did what you had to do, which is obviously a lot of mobsters are like that. But you were
Right.
just you
Exactly.
weren't you no one hated you, everyone loved you.
Right. Ralph, yeah, he was evil, for example. Yeah, Gigi was a good guy. This was his job, being a gangster, working for
Yeah.
Tony, you know?
And I could tell as well, just from the few bits that you were loyal, like Bobby. You
Yes,
could,
that's
you, I
right.
could, I could tell from some characters and the way they were that I was like, they would never rat, they would never do it. And I
No,
could see
no.
Gigi being just a solid dude. Like when you have like Facebook things that come up going, who would you have in your mobster crew out of these movies and Sopranos are on there, and you'd pick all these certain different people, and I'd have Silvio for sure. He's a
Yes.
hardcore loyal dude. You'd be in it for sure. Bobby because
Yeah.
he's just a sweetheart, really, and he does what he has
Right.
to do, But so
Yeah.
you could tell by that. You tell by your character that you were that way, just the way
Oh,
you were.
thank you. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that's kind of how that was my angle with Gigi. And like I said, I grew up around that stuff. It felt like I didn't have to force anything. I
Yeah,
was halfway there.
I was going to ask you about this because obviously your upbringing, because it wasn't typical New Jersey, New York, because you're not from there. So
Right.
tell me a little bit more about, if you were 12, 15, 13, 14, 15 years old in the street in Boston as a kid, what would be, you'd sit there and watch stuff happen. What would it be like? Because obviously I've never been there. I wouldn't know what it's like. So I'm interested.
You mean like the crime stuff or
Yeah, just that.
anything?
Yeah, just crazy stuff that would, that you've taken on board as Gigi and other characters like that.
Yeah, well, my father was loosely affiliated with that sort of lifestyle too.
Okay,
So
that's
I
a
got to
that's a
see it
crazy start.
yeah, firsthand. I mean, he wasn't hardcore like that, but he just did little booking, numbers and all that kind of stuff back in the day. So he knew some of them people. And like I said, it was very prevalent. It was everywhere. It was big time. The mobs were all in full swing. And it was a city and it was crowded and there was a lot of activity. And newspapers were big, crime headlines were big. They spin the paper around in a movie. That's how it was
Yeah.
like, oh, the paper. And you read about all this stuff. It was great. I mean, back then we even thought it was cool, you know. We didn't go,
Yeah.
oh, that's terrible. We go, that's awesome. We love this shit.
Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating, man. So,
Yeah, it
so
was cool.
yeah. So, your dad was like you said, loosely affiliated. So he just do the odd job, bit of extra cash, say.
Well, it was gambling stuff, like booking numbers, like illegal betting at the time. Now they've legalized betting in a lot of these states here because the states wanted a piece of the money. But guys used to take bets,
Mm.
like a private bet, like a mob guy or whatever. And if they didn't pay, there'd be other problems down
Yeah.
the road. But it was just like gambling stuff. And basically, when you operate in that world, you answer to somebody above you. You can't really be an independent guy because their whole thing is, where's my piece? You're
Yeah.
on my
Yeah.
turf. You gonna do this here? Where's my piece?
Yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You can't step on any of those toes.
No, no. So you gotta be careful with that. And he knew how to do that because he was friends with them. They let him operate. So I'd seen it, I watched it, I knew about it. When I did Sopranos and other stuff, I went, this is pretty straightforward to me, right?
Yeah. So did you ever chat to any of the cast members that were in similar situations, growing up like that? Would you say, oh, yeah, I grew up with this gang around here? And then they'd say, oh, I was.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys are from Brooklyn and New York and New Jersey. So a lot of them have a similar background, very densely populated places to live. And again, the mob in full swing back in that time frame. So a lot of them have similar backgrounds, they
Yeah.
really do. That's why it was so easy to be on that set with all those guys. Everybody was like-minded, sort of same age group, if you will, give or take a few years, but everybody was kind of like, yeah, we all got each other,
Yeah.
similar backgrounds.
I heard from multiple sort of interviews with other cast members, and every single one, especially the reunion, every single one of them said that everyone got along, and it was like a family.
It's true. It was great. I mean, it was a dream gig because you'd show up and it'd be and there's a crew people. The crew people are outstanding. They were just as much as the family too. Big personalities on the crew. Everybody thinks of just the actors, but when you're on the show, the crew people are very popular, too, and very well liked. So it truly was a big family. But you would show up and you'd be on this hit TV show with about 30 Italian guys with a similar background going, wow, this is unreal. Can you believe we're here? Because other acting jobs are kind of sucky. They put you in your trailer. There's no one to hang out with, no one to kibitz with during the day. You're just kind
Yeah.
of waiting for your turn, waiting for them to call you. There's no fun. You're just sitting there waiting to do your thing. And
Yeah.
I've been on many jobs like that where, it's not that much fun. But The Sopranos was always fun and it had always good people around. It
That's
really did.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
really great. Yeah, that just sounds absolutely amazing. I'm
Hmm.
thinking, was there anyone in particular that you kind of got along with a little bit more? Say, if you were in a group with 10 of them, was there one or two that you'd prefer? I'd rather go and have dinner with him or her.
Well, I mean, I got very close with Joe Ganascoli, Pito, because we
Yeah.
were in the same stuff. But but Bobby Finaro with James. So when I was there, I would tend to see the same people
Right.
in the scenes I was in. Sometimes they're in the scene before or after you. Say they're not in the same scene with you, but they're scheduled for the same day. So you'd see them at the studio.
Mm.
And I mean, I was friends with really all of them. I went out one-on-one with about 5 of them. I went out with this one a few times, that one a few times, as a group a few times. Me and this guy, what I mean? It was like that. Everybody kind of got along. It really did. I loved them
That's
all. I really did. It sounds like a cliche, but they were great.
Yeah. Well, like I said, everyone else from what I've seen or read have
Yeah,
all said the same thing.
it's
Yeah.
true.
And that's
They
why
really do.
it's why it blossomed so well as well. The because even if there were a couple of people that say hated each other, I know they would still act, but it just makes the whole
Yes.
thing, yeah, it just flows better. So that's great.
Yeah. The hatred came in later.
Yeah.
I can't expound on. You probably know some of those guys end up feuding down the road. I wasn't part of any feuds.
Right.
The inner
What?
sanctum, if you will, the higher ups. There was some infighting.
Right. What do you mean by that? Tell me.
Well, I mean, some of them had issues with others, and then they had little public spats and feuds. And this one's not talking to that one. I've heard of some of that happening, but I was long gone by then. I don't travel in the
Right.
same. I don't travel in the same circles like in New York, New Jersey. They're more apt to see one another,
Yeah.
bump into each other at similar things. But I was removed from that.
Yeah.
But I had heard there was some little beefs erupted over the years.
Right. Well, on the show or just later afterwards or later after, when you left.
What's that, Tom? I'm sorry.
Was it during the show, or was it just way after it, or after
Oh,
you
well,
left?
way after, way after. Yeah, during
Oh,
the
okay.
show, it was all peace and harmony. It was just years later.
Oh, I
Like,
see.
I mean, little bullshit things that people get bent out of
Yeah.
shape over. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
turns into a feud of some kind.
Yeah. Talking about Bobby Finaro too. I spoke to him a
Love
little
Bobby,
bit. Yeah, he
nice
seems like
guy.
yeah, he seems like a lovely guy.
He really
Um,
is.
yeah, I spoke to him a little bit a few years back, and I asked if he could sign something for me too. And he just sent me a big tube about this big, asked my address, just sent it, didn't ask for any money, and it was a big, about three or four different posters, all signed, and a couple of different
Oh,
things. And
nice.
I was
Wow.
like, oh yeah, thanks, man. He was like, yeah, no problem.
That's cool. Yeah. He was privy to a lot more swag. You know, that you're down there at HBO. I remember when I first left there, they gave me coats, jackets, hats, t-shirts, nice stuff, expensive. And I'd give them away to people. But then it ran out. When I was gone, it was over. But I need more stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was over. But yeah, they were very generous. Hey, can I want to shut my heat off here. I'm too hot out here. You got a second?
Yeah,
I can grab the remote. I shut off.
yeah, no problem, John. Take your time.
Okay, I just shut it. Woo.
It's all good, all good. So,
Yes.
uh, what are your what's going on with you at the moment then?
Well, at the moment, I do the Be a Man podcast, which is more fun than anything else. We do it for fun. We make some money, but it's a lot of fun and just talking silly and hanging out. I just finished a movie in Louisiana, small role, but it was nice. I went down there for a couple of 2, 3 days about a month ago. I got a couple of things that are like being edited now, low budget stuff, medium budget stuff. They're putting it together. We'll see where they go. Movies.
Hmm.
And that's it, man. I'm just kind of going day by day. I don't really fret it too much. Things come my way, I'm down with it. If
Yeah.
not, I got plenty of stuff to do to keep me busy at this point. You know what I mean?
So, what else do you do in your spare time then? Hobbies wise, what you know?
Well, I got young kids at my age. I got 2 young kids when I spend a lot of time with them. They
Sorry,
need me.
I forgot. Yeah. So that's
Yeah, I mean,
most
that's
of
my
your time
hobby.
then. Yeah.
That's a big hobby.
So you've got a little son and daughter.
You know, my son's 14. He's pretty easy, but still, you know, my daughter's 7.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I go from 7 to your age, older. My daughter's 36.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
but so as far as hobbies, I don't really have a lot of hobbies. You know, listening to music and doing this or that, but I don't really have any hardcore hobbies at this point. I wish I did.
What bands do you listen to? Because I know that I'm sure we talked about this before, but into a lot of, because I'm into a lot of 50s, 60s stuff that I told you about before, and the music I play.
Yeah, I listen to everything. I go on my little kicks with it. I'm not as hardcore listening to music as I was at other portions of my life where I was fanatical. I had 3,000 record albums at one time. I still have them.
Wow.
2,500 CDs. You know, Mojo magazine.
Yeah.
You've seen that?
They
I
collect
had
them.
maybe, yeah, I had about 300 of those. Or, you know, but I never translated to playing the guitar myself. I should have. I was just so into it. I should have written about music. I should have been a critic of music or a reviewer or something. But anyway, I listen to everybody. I'll go on my Americana kick. I'll go punk. I'll go on a rock journey. Or sometimes I'll follow one from Frank Sinatra to, you know, the Zombies to the Clash to whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything, everything.
I suppose it depends it depends what mood you're in as well.
Yeah. I like to seek out a lot of live, quirky performances on YouTube, like I'm sure we all do, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, there's a great live rendition here of Paul Simon. I'm recently looking for Paul Simon stuff, you know,
Nice.
deep stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But growing up, I mean, we were in the heyday of like all the English bands, the Who, Traffic, the Beatles, of course, the Stones, all that, Led Zeppelin. I mean, I used to see all these bands in concert. They'd come to Boston, was a major stop.
Yeah, yeah.
We saw everybody. When I tell you everybody, everybody.
Go on, give me
You know,
some.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody. I got no Beatles.
Yeah.
Everybody but the Beatles. All of them.
Wow.
10 years after Alvin Lee, I was a big fan.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know Alvin Lee?
No, I don't really. No.
Shred guitar, man. 10 years after English band, just awesome.
Yeah.
Blues rock fusion kind of thing. Really great stuff.
Yeah.
But I was big on them. Saw them in Boston Garden, the Stones multiple times, the Who multiple times, Zeppelin multiple times.
Whoa.
Everybody, man, just crazy for it.
Sounds like a great place to grow up in
Oh,
general.
it was awesome. And that place where they played was about 1.5 miles from my house where I grew up.
Whoa.
So to go to see them was boom, there, you're there, like that. Easy. It's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got
to smuggle booze in back in the day. Remember those, those rawhide pouches you squeeze?
Yeah.
That kind of shit used to like have them in your jacket.
I can imagine you being that like cheeky little shit, like
right.
jumping fences and sneaking booze,
smoking big fat boys in there. It was great, man. It was good stuff. We loved it.
I bet your mum and father had their hands full with just you, by the sounds.
Yeah, they had their hands full with me. I'm afraid they did. Yeah, we're pretty wild.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. Yeah. Well, you know what? I've said this to you before, but I'm going to come to Boston at some point. We'll have a beer.
Please do.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
We'll absolutely hang out. You come here, we're hanging out.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, John, because it's been quite a while. We've been talking for quite some time. But thank you for talking to me.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Awesome. I'll carry on sending you some stupid videos on Instagram.
Please do. I love them.
Thank you, dude. I'll speak to you very soon.
All right, Tom. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.